Good morning, everybody. Give me a 5x5 if you can hear me. I need to, let me see. If you're watching over on Rumble, or if you're watching on Pilled, or if you're watching on Foxhole, can you give me, or on YouTube? I think I'm also streaming on YouTube, though I'm often shadow banned on YouTube. So, but if you can hear me, feel free to drop in the chat a 5x5. That's code for something. I'm going to go and see what's going on over on the Pilled chat real quick, but we have some breaking news about Dallas County GOP. It's very interesting what's going on, so I wanted to see if you guys knew about it. I guess I'll just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to assume that you guys can hear me. I suppose I could test it out. Let's see. It's working. Okay. So what I have pulled up right here on the screen is what I want to talk about. This is a blog. This is a blog by, you can hear me? This is a blog by Dallas County GOP, okay? And it's authored by Jennifer, let me see, what's her last name? I often get her last name wrong. Jennifer Stoddard Hadju. Jennifer Stoddard Hadju. Okay, so this is a blog, and there's multiple blog posts, but the one that I want to talk about is the most recent one. Looks like it was just posted yesterday. I assume the meeting that it's describing wasn't yesterday, but it was very recently. Maybe it was yesterday, and she just typed this up right after the meeting. Thank you guys for being here. Please feel free to share this out. Alrighty, so this is the blog post I want to talk to you about. This is the Dallas GOP meeting with the Texas Secretary of State, Jane Nelson. She's actually confirmed. She's like, we have a real Secretary of State now, guys. Because there's a long time where we didn't have one. We actually have a Secretary of State now. So, Jennifer Stoddard Hadju, who is the Dallas County GOP chair, went down to meet with her. This is good. This is progress. She went down to meet with her, not just about anything, but about elections, to talk about the elections. So I wanted to review this little blog post because I read through a lot of it, and though I think this is productive, I want to go over the reasons why I'm a little bit frustrated. But I also want to give credit to Dallas County GOP. Let me do that now. Let me go ahead and give credit to Dallas County GOP Chair Jennifer Stoddard Hadju, because it's my understanding that she was actually instrumental in getting the Dallas County ballots numbered according to the law again. And that's kind of a big deal. I have a concern that Hyder's going to immediately do away with that. He's a big fan of the blank ballots and he's going to make the argument that it saves the county money. And I think that it does the way he does it. I just think it's much less secure. And also, it's a blatant violation of state statute. So there's that too. Just two reasons why I really wanted to discuss some items with this. And I think Jennifer understands the ballot numbering issue. I think she does. She argued for that. So I would hope that she could make that point sufficiently with the Secretary of State. But there are other items that I've documented in detail that I haven't seen anyone else document in detail. I'm not saying that no one else has. I just haven't seen it in my area. I've seen it in other states. I've seen people documenting the same stuff in other states. my main point is I haven't seen the Dallas County GOP discuss the full aspect of this, and I've been attempting to meet with them to talk with them about the big picture since last summer. Last summer, I did a training for poll watchers at the Dallas County GOP headquarters. And at first, everything was cool. And last minute, day of, they gave me a lot of trouble about the event, were really rude to me, and then are acting like I'm the problem because I responded defensively and they were unable to bully me. So since then, I've still been contacting them, working with some people in the Dallas County GOP executive committeemen and some committee chairs like Wes Bowen, who was at this meeting. Wes Bowen is the Dallas County Election Integrity Committee chair. And he went with Jennifer Stoddard Hadjiar, the Dallas County GOP chair. He went with her to this meeting, along with some other people, Tan Parker and Russ Ramsland. So they were at this meeting with the Secretary of State. And I'm not, giving an opinion on Tan Parker. I'm not giving an opinion on Russ Ramsland or anything like that. I've spoken with Russ very recently and several times. So I'm not giving an opinion. I've never spoken with Tan Parker. Either way, I'm not giving an opinion on them. This is just about the Dallas County GOP and why I'm a little bit frustrated and why I think that this meeting with the Secretary of State was potentially a missed opportunity. Because I've been attempting to give them everything that I have from Tarrant County that I've been collecting since 2021. It's frustrating. It's just frustrating that they don't want it when they're going to sort of look like they're doing all this. But let's read through this blog post because I don't think that this is a total waste of time. I really don't. I'm not trying to totally bash this. Okay. So, and this is written by Jennifer, and she's a great author. She's great at writing. This is great. I enjoy reading this, Jennifer. I'm not saying you should continue to do these blogs, and there's a couple things that I want to talk about, but still. So she says, my last blog highlighted the significant unexplainable issues Dallas County experienced with the ES&S e-poll books in the November 2022 and 2023 elections. Despite the submission, both in writing and verbally, of valid questions to the Dallas County Elections Department about the numerous and consistent problems, few acceptable answers were received. And I can back her up on that. See, I actually attempted to see if anybody had spoken the thing is the ES&S poll book issues, that hit the Gateway Pundit before anyone got any statement from Michael Scarpello about it. And I feel like that should have been done. Someone should have gotten a statement from Michael Scarpello before they took that whole story to the Gateway Pundit, but I've already expressed my views about that, so I won't beat a dead horse. But to my knowledge, I was the first one to get a statement from Michael Scarpello about this. I got him on the phone. And he said that he was going to post something online. He said he was going to do it that day. He didn't do it that day. He did it a couple days later. Just saying. He said, I'm going to post something online, and it's called Rumor Control, and you'll be able to read that. That'll be my statement. And I was like, okay, if I have additional questions after I read that, can I call you back? And he was like, I won't have anything further to say, so I don't think you'll have any other questions. And I was like, but if I do, can I call you back? And he was like, basically, no, that's all I'm going to say is whatever I put on the website. I was like, all right. So, but, Jennifer, who's writing this article, is on the election board and commission. She's the one that, or at least it might not have been her, but her position is one that can hire and fire election administrators. They're part of that. I mean, it's not like her sole authority, but she's a part of that board, right? So she can literally just turn to him at their meetings and be like, Michael, can we discuss this on the record? I even think she has the ability to put it on the agenda for the election board meetings. I don't know if she has the ability to call an election board meeting because Scarpello would be the chair. But I think we should look at the meeting notes and see if they're discussing that in the election board whenever the last election board meeting was. They'll have Hyder as the chair now after Scarpello leaves when they switch out. Anyway, long story short, Jennifer she has total access to Michael Scarpello. So it's kind of strange that she's like, they won't talk to us. He'll like ignore our calls. I don't think he'll ignore her calls. Anyways, his explanation, I'm backing her up. His explanation was totally unacceptable and did not actually make any sense. So she's absolutely right about that. Few acceptable answers were received. Yeah. It is my opinion. This is Jennifer Stoddard again, Dallas GOP chairwoman. I might say chairman. She's a woman, chairwoman, whatever. It is my opinion that the Dallas County Elections Department may not have answers because it does not control the server to which the e-poll books are connected. Michael Scarpello is almost as experienced on paper as Hyder. He knows he can thoroughly explain this stuff. It's clear to me that he doesn't want to. That's my opinion. My personal opinion. That's not what Jennifer said. It's my opinion that Michael Scarpello can explain this, but he doesn't want to. Okay. Anyways, Jennifer says that she thinks they don't have answers because they don't they don't control the server to which the e-poll books are connected. Rather, the privately held for-profit third-party entity, ES&S, controls the e-poll books. This is Jennifer saying this. This is Jennifer saying. Jennifer says, I believe that this is unacceptable to allow a third party to have any access or role in our elections in Texas or throughout the United States for that matter. Excuse me. I have allergies. I do not think we can achieve effective change at the local level. We can. We literally can, Jennifer. That's where we disagree. And this is where I start to get frustrated. I'm not like totally against Jennifer. Not really. Not if she's going to. This is good, but we need to actually take the full step and say, I'm committing to this. She has authority at the county level. She can actually help. And she's done some good. Like I said, the ballot numbering is a huge deal. She is credited with getting that done from what I hear. So we need more. We want more of that. More following the law is all. It's not like we're asking for radical change. We're asking to follow the law as it's written. Okay. Jennifer says again, she says, I believe it's unacceptable to allow any third-party entity to have access or role in our elections in Texas or throughout the United States for that matter. I do not think we can achieve effective change at the local level, so I believe we must take our fight against the e-poll books and countywide voting to Austin. I did just that on Tuesday, November 8th, 2023. Yeah, she just busted this article out right after she did it, which is impressive, I gotta say. That's impressive. Nope, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm getting a lot of messages. Probably that my mic's not working half the time. Yeah, y'all give me a 5x5, and if my mic cuts out, y'all can let me know. All right. So basically, here she goes. This is them. This is the group that. Sorry about that. My microphone cut out for a minute. This is them. This is the group that went down there. She says she did it yesterday, and I'm impressed with her for writing this article right after she did it because I believe this article was posted the same day. She says we met face to face with Secretary Nelson and her senior staff for well over an hour. The specific purpose of the visit was to discuss the e-poll book failures and or manipulation that Dallas County experienced in the November 2022 midterms and again in the November 2023 constitutional election. If y'all don't know about this, it's good that she's bringing this up. There's a way bigger picture issue that I would have liked for her to address at the SOS office, but it's good for her to bring this up because this is the issue that you heard about in the Gateway Pundit where after the polls were closed, all of a sudden the check-in totals for those locations on the e-poll books seem to be shooting up. And like trained election judges were watching that happen. People who have worked elections before were watching that and being like, wait, what is that? And these people have to write those numbers down and account for all the totals on their logs. So they're writing they're like trying to write numbers down, and they're like, why is it changing? This is how they noticed it, right? It was right, before the polls closed, at the close of polls, and just after, the numbers were changing. And they got footage of it, they got pictures of it. So this is what she's talking about. She wanted to go, and it happened again. Obviously, it happened again in the November constitutional election, and people were like, "Sorry," people were like, "See, do you see what I'm talking about?" So she went down there to talk about it. This is very important. Let's see what else they. Let's see what else they said. So this is good. I like what it's saying so far. It is just the beginning. This is where I'm at. It's just the beginning of an in-depth discussion about the vulnerability of machine voting. The goal is to set the path for elections in regionally combined precinct centers that have hand-counted paper ballots. That's good. I would have just asked her to add in ballots sorted by precinct. Because that's what the law says. Chapter 66 of the Texas Election Code, guys. Oh, sorry. Secretary of State is the chief election officer for the state of Texas. Yes, but however, she is. But there's a director of the elections department who is really like the main brain behind the elections side of it. Because the SOS is the chief elections officer, but I think there are other departments as well, but there is a chief election officer, and that currently is Christine Atkins. Was just until recently was Keith Ingram. Jane Nelson did, to her credit, she switched him out. But she put Christine Atkins under there, who's his underling. So was it really a regime change? I don't know. Jennifer says, Dallas County GOP chair, she says, I'm not aware of any other such meeting directly with the Texas Secretary of State about election integrity in the last 5 years, since Texas made the mistake of changing over to the machine voting systems. Guys, this statement, I'm not trying to look, we didn't even have a Secretary of State for a minute. We didn't even have a Secretary of State like through most of COVID. Guys, there was not even one that was even appointed. Then John B. Scott, like at the end, at the end of 2021, was appointed by Abbott, right? But it was like temporary. He was never like confirmed, Senate confirmed. He was acting, just kind of filling in the role. Total figurehead. The whole time we didn't have a Secretary of State. Keith Ingram was the one that was issuing all of the orders. That's like understood. She's so far behind, but she's on the right track. But she's far behind, and her arguments could be reinforced, which is why I'm frustrated. And because I've been trying to give them information that I've documented so that when they would go, she should be going and meeting with the Secretary of State and talking about these issues, right? I'm not knocking her for doing this. I'm only saying we didn't even have a Secretary of State woman. It's not that, please, Jennifer, do you really think that nobody thought about going to the Secretary of State? Honestly. You think that didn't occur to anybody else? We didn't even have one. And by the time John B. Scott was appointed, again, he wasn't even Senate confirmed then, but he did announce that he was going to do this audit. He asked for all this money to do this audit, right? So every time we called the Secretary of State's office, do you know what they told us? Jennifer, this is what I'm talking about, because you don't know, because you weren't there calling the Secretary of State's office trying to get this done, trying to understand what was going on, okay? Because you just jumped into this field, and that's fine. I like the direction you're going, but please, the whole acting like, I haven't even heard of anybody going to the Secretary of State in the last 5 years. Jane Nelson was just appointed in this last session, right just prior to this last session, was just appointed as Secretary of State. This last session, woman. We did not have one, so I don't like her taking the position of this. And so anyways, that's why there was not a meeting with a Dallas County chair with the Secretary of State within the last 5 years. So it's just goofy to me. Since Texas made the mistake of changing over to the machine voting systems, this is where I'm at, guys. I took many affidavits from our loyal, hardworking Republican election judges, alternate judges, and clerks as evidence of the unreliability, malfunction, and lack of transparency and trust embodied by the e-poll books. So at least this is an accurate statement right here. I took many affidavits from our loyal, hardworking Republican election judges, alternate judges, and clerks as evidence, not poll watchers. At least she's being honest about not accepting evidence from poll watchers, because I have been trying to give it to them, and they have been like, whoop, whoop, poll watchers, because what we have is not that they want to go the easy route, and I understand that. Like, maybe it'll work. Maybe avoiding like the most serious mistakes and just going for the easy stuff will work. It's so lazy that it just might work. Okay. But anyways, so I'm not, it sounds like I'm bashing her. I'm glad that she had this meeting, but yeah, it's just, this is why I'm frustrated, but at least she's honest about this. And at least she is down there meeting with them. All the other county chairs, you need to step it up. All right. We'll see what Beau French will do. Beau French is actually meeting with us. That's the thing. So we'll see. Ooh, I'm sorry, guys. She says, this is Jennifer again. This is where I'm at. In addition, I called numerous other county chairs to inquire about the function or lack thereof of the e-poll books in their counties, and to gauge whether or not those counties also desire to eliminate the e-poll books in countywide voting. Most of the county chairs I spoke to share our concerns and support the effort to end e-poll books in countywide voting. Specifically, including Dallas, I believe we can count on the support of Harris, Bexar, Tarrant, and Travis counties, 5 of the largest counties in the state of Texas. Excellent. Great work, Jennifer. I would like to get all of that put into writing. So, guys, based on this, and I'm calling right now, you guys that are watching, okay, I'm not sure however many it is currently, but and however many it will be later, okay, I'm calling on all of you executive committee people in Dallas County. What's she named? Harris County, Bexar, Tarrant, Travis, okay, and Dallas. These are 5 counties. Okay, let's go. All you precinct chairs in Dallas, Harris, Bexar, Tarrant, and Travis, we need you to immediately draft resolutions in support of this, in support of all of these things that she's laid out here. Okay, let's get this going. Let's put it on the record, and in that resolution, make it a joint resolution. You know what I mean? Let's call one another. Okay, let's start networking. I know that you guys can do it. I got a couple people I can say, hey, let's draft it up and let's send copies out to all of these. Let's see if we can get like a joint resolution passed on these issues ASAP, like at the next executive committee meeting. If y'all can do that, that means the resolution is going to have to be drafted, and some of y'all's bylaws you need to check, because some of y'all's bylaws might require you to submit the resolution a certain amount of time prior to being able to bring it to the floor, unless you were really good at Robert's Rules of Order, unless you're really good at chess, in Robert's Rules of Order. You got to follow these timelines, right? So if I'm telling you, like, if you can get it drafted like right now, like today, like now, like start to writing it down and get it to where it looks good, and then type that thing up and send some drafts out. Say, does this look good for a joint resolution? Okay, I'm calling on all you executive committeemen in these 5 counties. All right, because this would be epic. This would be epic if we could get this done. Okay, she's called these counties out. Okay, she says that this is exactly what Jennifer is saying, and this is really good. Okay, so I'm going to give Jennifer all the credit for this. She's saying her official position, Dallas County, Harris County, Bexar, Tarrant, and Travis counties are all on board with talking about the values of in-precinct voting versus countywide voting. Okay, this is very good, and I want to give her credit for that. Here's where I'm at. Wes and I began the meeting with the Secretary of State with a detailed description of the 2022 post-elect. This is Jennifer, Dallas County GOP chair. This is her blog. Wes and I began the meeting with the Secretary of State with a detailed description of the 2022 post-election surges, followed by continued movement in live e-poll books 7 days after the election. This is really bad. This kind of stuff that she's detailing right here. Yeah. And do you know why this was taken seriously? Because the election judges who saw it took pictures. And I know they're going to try to intimidate you and say, you can't do that. You can't do that. When the polls are closed, it's not the polling place. You're just closing stuff up, trying to record stuff. It's like there's no voters in jeopardy. They took a picture because if they tried to describe it, they'd probably be gaslit. They got evidence of it, despite being told it's a Class B misdemeanor. They got evidence of it. They weren't afraid. So this goes to the judges that got evidence of this stuff and was like, no, you can't tell me that this is not happening. We all saw it and there's evidence. You can't say that we're all conspiracy theorists. You're not going to do it. Okay. So this is so bad. 7 days after the election, the poll numbers were still changing on those poll books for those locations. That's supposed to be the okay. Just in case you're a little lost. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. If you're new to this, the poll books are that's where you check in before you get the ballot. So they say, okay, this voter's here. We're going to check them in, and they're a registered voter. Check, right? The number that you write down at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, right? Especially through early voting, but even on election day, you're going to want 0 check-ins at the beginning, right? You don't want to start the election already having all these voters checked in, and it's like, wait, where are all their ballots? Are there a bunch of ballots in there? Let's go open that and make sure there's not a bunch of ballots. Stuff like that. It's all for accountability and auditability purposes, right? At the end of the day, they have to write down on their logs the total number of voter check-ins. So these judges are trying to write the number down, and they know how much based on, first of all, how many ballots were issued, how many ballots were scanned. So when these numbers at the poll books are jumping way up and like fluctuating and doing all this weird stuff, that's how they noticed. And so in case you didn't know, that's what's going on. It's looking like more people checked in at that location to vote than did, and the judges are like, what? So anyways, we then describe the inexplicable and significant lack of internet connectivity. The fact that very few, they're saying the poll books were going off on and offline is what that means. We then describe the inexplicable and significant lack of internet connectivity, the fact that very few e-poll books synced, and that's like, why do we even buy them? Why did you even buy them if they don't even do what they're supposed to do? Is the whole point. Is that not the whole point? And varying reports of the number of registered voters in Dallas County all throughout the 2023 election. Varying reports that it's like you don't even know how many to compare it to. The voter rolls are wild, absolutely wild. It's so wheels off, and it's kind of funny, but it's very serious actually. So next, our election integrity expert Russ presented a PowerPoint presentation, and Russ Ramsland's given this presentation, and I've spoken with him at his events about this presentation, and it's very compelling, very compelling. But we need access to one of the machines to prove it. We need to get one of those machines, and we need to be allowed access to it. And they're preventing access to it, so it's difficult to confirm what his theory is. Difficult to confirm that it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Next, our election integrity expert presented a PowerPoint presentation that presented significant evidence from Dallas County and other jurisdictions, Georgia, and I think maybe a couple other states that he's seen anomalies in. Dallas County and other jurisdictions of the ability to corrupt and manipulate the machine voting systems. Our presentation was well received by the Secretary and her staff. We discussed possible alternatives and the need for legislation in order to move toward a plausible, trustworthy paper ballot hand counting voting system. Yeah, there's some legislation that needs to happen, but additionally, I would have liked for Jennifer to have pointed out that they need to immediately address some of the advisory code. The Secretary of State knows. They know that our counties are operating mainly off of the advisory code, even when it's in contrast with state statute. Even when it is, they're operating off of the advisory code. So the Secretary of State, I have the exact advisory code. It's 2019-23. I would have circled exactly what I would like for her to immediately amend. I'm saying just as fast as Jennifer. She had this meeting on the 28th yesterday and wrote this report the same day. That's how fast I would have asked the Secretary of State to have Christina Adkins, the new Director of Elections, amend 2019-23. See, this is why I'm frustrated. I could have given this stuff to Jennifer. We could have had these advisory codes amended, issued immediately. Tell them you print those early vote result tapes immediately when those machines get back to central count. Okay, or first thing on election day, if they want to say that they can't do it until election day. Okay. This is why I'm frustrated. There's real things that you don't have to say, oh, we got to wait for the legislature to tell me, that I have to follow the law. Like I'm sorry, that's where we're at. You need to follow the law. She needs to be told these advisory codes are in violation, and we need you to make them adhere closer to the law. Order that the ballots be numbered this way. because that's what the law says, and there's reasons for that. And I could have given Jennifer all of the reasons behind that, all of the reasons that Dr. Presley has told me, the ones that I've figured out on my own as well, seeing how difficult it is to audit elections in Tarrant County now that Hyder's removed the ballot numbering process. There's nothing authorizing removal of the ballot numbering process, but they do it anyways. Back to Jennifer Dallas GOP chair's blog. This is good so far for the most part. It's just, it could have been better. It could have been stronger. It could have been sharp. It could have been sharp as hell. All right. With that, let's see. With that in mind, Senator Parker has agreed to try and recruit fellow legislators to support him in asking Governor Abbott to include election integrity law changes either in the current special session or another special session. Excellent. Very good work, Jennifer. This is really good. This is really good. We've been asking for this for a long time, but thank you for helping us finally. In order to encourage I do though. It's good. She has the authority. She has the power to do this, and she's finally realized that. So it's bittersweet, but we need to give her credit because this is good. This is good, and she's already called out 5 other counties. In order to encourage the Secretary of State's office to assist Senator Parker with Governor Abbott in bringing forth such legislative changes, I'm drafting a follow-up letter to the Secretary of State. Excellent. What does the follow-up letter say? Sorry, I had to click back and forth. In which Wes, our expert, and I will request the Secretary's support for our efforts to obtain the changes needed to begin what we hope can and will be a transition back to secure elections. We hope so too. We really hope that you can get the information, since trying to give it to you, just walk into your office and give it to you has not been successful. I wonder how you'll obtain the info. But anyways, I'll keep trying. I will keep trying with you, Jennifer. I will continue to try because this is good. It could be better. This is good. You're well positioned. I'm going to keep trying with you. All right. And I'll get you this information, even if I have to send it through somebody else. Jennifer says, I believe that with the support of the 5 largest counties, not only in Texas, but in the United States, we can influence our legislators and our leaders in Austin. Sorry, I've added R. And leaders in Austin, that we need to lead the charge in moving away from machine voting to secure hand-counted paper ballots. I will keep you updated on the progress of our efforts. In the meantime, please assist us by contacting your state representatives and senators and telling them how important these issues are to each of you. You may look up the contact information for your legislators on the following link. Then click the link. Did I say clink? Click the link. I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing. Click on the link for each Senate and House of Representatives website to send each your message. Jennifer Stoddard Hadji, Chairwoman, Dallas County Republican Party. All right. This is good. So, okay, this is good. So do you understand? I hope you'll understand why I'm frustrated, because there's a little bit more, there's some serious things that we need addressed like immediately, that the Secretary of State does have the power to address. There are some things that we do need the legislature to clarify, right? Because what we don't want to do is go to the Secretary of State and say, hey, you're using your power the wrong way. We want you to use it our way, right? We don't want to do that, because they shouldn't even have that power. We have them doing it our way one minute, then, the next season someone else has them doing it their way. That power needs to be removed and needs to be returned back to the legislature. Y'all understand, if y'all have read my report, The Deep State is Real. I've covered the 5 pillars of the administrative state, and I give Ballotpedia all the credit for outlining that very efficiently, very concisely. Please go and read that. It's on our Substack. It's on our homepage on our website, takingbacktexas.org. The deep state is real. Okay? It's the administrative state. The administrative deep state, everybody knows about it. They'll talk about it, but they still want to turn around and gaslight everybody about it. No, it's real, and there are names. There are people in charge of these agencies who have been given too much authority, and they're using that authority. So that's why we're not getting any we don't get very favorable rulings about certain specific details, because technically these executive agencies who have been given authority to promulgate rules with the force and effect of law related to our elections, executive agencies given the authority to create rules and enforce them, because they're an enforcement agency, the executive branch. They're not the rulemaking agency. That's the legislature. But when the legislature says, "Oh, sure, we'll authorize countywide voting," and the Secretary of State can figure out how we're going to do it. That's called non-delegation. That's the original sin. That's how all of this shit gets fucked up. All right? To put it bluntly. That breaches the separation of powers because that's supposed to be the legislature's job. They're just supposed to tell the executive branch what to do. Okay? The executive branch is supposed to, that, you know what I'm saying? Then when you breach that and say the executive branch can not only just enforce our will, they can also decide the will. It's like, again, a breach. So it throws off all the checks and balances. And you try to go to court, you get upset at what the executive branch does, right? And you say, hey, you don't have the authority to do that. You can't just create laws and make stuff up. What law are you enforcing? Like, oh, it's our rule and we have the ability to make rules. The legislature gave us the power to make rules, and our rules are as effective as law. But nobody's reviewing their rules. They're just making them up. They're just doing whatever they want. And there's no checks and balances. You try to go to the judge about it. The judge is like, so what are you saying? And your complaint is that, well, the executive branch made this rule, and I don't like this rule because I think it violates my rights. And especially because they don't even have the authority to make rules like that. And the judge is like, well, you're going to have to do a better job proving how it violated your rights, because they definitely have the authority to do that, because I'm looking at the law right here that says they can create rules. Those laws have to be immediately amended. Very, very important. So that stuff has to go directly to the legislature. But like I said, the Secretary of State Advisory Code is being treated as the gospel in Texas election administration. So the frustrating part to me is that Jennifer could have gone in there and really laid it out for Jay Nelson and been like, look, with all due respect, because I'm sure she was very respectful. I'm sure it was a very professional meeting. But she really could have laid the foundation to be like, look, I understand the inherent issues here and why we keep going back and forth, right? And why people at the county level are frustrated with the Secretary of State, and why we have all of these issues, and everyone's really confused. In the legislature, they don't know what's going on. Article 1, Section 4 of the National Constitution says that it's the state legislature's job to determine the time, place, and manner of elections in their state. Okay, so not only is it understood that the legislature is the one who writes the laws, it's very clear in the Constitution that they're the ones who decide everything about the elections. Everything about them, time, place, and manner. Now, Congress can pass laws to regulate, elections, like the Help America Vote Act, Move Act, stuff like that. But it's up to the state legislatures to decide to write those laws, how elections are going to be made secure. And also in the Texas Constitution, it's very detailed how secure our elections need to be. Very serious. Our Constitution is good. Our election code is very good. Other states' election code's not very strong, but ours is very good in Texas. And they're just violating it. Other states that don't even have good laws, I feel terrible for them because they have an even harder time making a case in their courts. Our laws are very specific. Our ballot numbering law stands. There's no statute that authorizes the changing of the numbering of the ballots. This is so that we can make sure fraudulent ballots aren't inserted. It's very difficult to insert fraudulent ballots into ballots that are pre-numbered and randomized so the voter selects their ballot and only the voter knows their ballot number. It's very difficult to insert fake ballots into that kind of system, because it would be easily detectable from all of the logs detailing, because that's a number that they would be recording. The range of ballot numbers that are used, right, will be recorded, and any leftover ballots will be recorded, right? All of that will be tracked, but it'll be tracked the day of the day of. There's not going to be 2 weeks in between when they're writing these numbers down and making official reports. Like they won't have those totals until the end of the election. You know what I'm saying? So that's a way to keep it secure. And I go more into detail about this in some of my other. Anyways, the ballot numbering law is there for a reason, and so I want to give Jennifer the credit for getting that numbered, but the Secretary of State's office is allegedly what's authorizing that. I would have told her immediately, can you please issue this advisory about, again, the early vote result tapes. Jennifer should have asked her to correct the advisory about the printing of the early vote result tapes, because it already says they have to be printed, but they're not being printed at all because Christina Adkins, Jennifer should have confronted her about this. Christina Adkins is telling them that they don't even have to follow the advisory code. Not only do they not have to follow the law, they don't even have to follow the advisory code. They can just do whatever. She should have confronted her about that. That's like kind of another issue. That they waive state law, they all waive their own advisory code. It's crazy. It's crazy. She should have talked to her about clarifying the ballot numbering issue and really discussed the merits of that with her. Right? She should have confronted them about the fact that we can't audit by precinct in the countywide polling place program. We can't audit by precinct. I don't know if hopefully she talked to her about that. Being unable to audit the elections is a huge deal. Huge. That means you can't track the fraud. There's no point in doing an RLA if the records are not able to be audited. You're just setting an arbitrary threshold to say, arbitrary system of measurement to say, yeah, this looks good, but it's a fake audit. It's not a real audit. Okay. She should have confronted her about that. Said these RLAs are bunk. She should have confronted her about the Secretary of State Phase 1 audit report. But see, this wasn't done by Jay Nelson, right? Again, Jennifer, it's not that nobody's thought to go to the Secretary of State about these issues in 5 years. So I don't appreciate Jennifer taking that position that she's the first one that's thought about going to the Secretary of State about election issues. Like I said, we didn't even have one for a long time. Jane Nelson just got there. I'm saying a matter of months ago, like less than a year ago, she's been there. Okay. Additionally, there's supposed to be additional phases of this audit that are taking place, and every time that we've called in to talk about that since the previous acting Secretary of State announced it, that's what they would tell us. Well, wait for the audit. We're doing an audit right now. What more do you want from us? She should have confronted her about that audit report that did not accurately reflect the precinct totals for the counties that it reported to. In fact, it was several of the counties that she said are in agreement with going back to countywide voting. Hopefully, part of their resolve to consider opting out of countywide voting is based on the bunk Secretary of State Phase 1 audit progress report. Because it was really bad. Even the Secretary of State can't properly audit our elections by precinct because of the countywide polling place program. So now, and I've written multiple reports about this. I've blasted this out all over the state. I've literally driven to Harris County multiple times to train poll watchers to tell them about this exact thing. But if Jennifer wants to claim credit for convincing everybody that this is the right thing to do, okay, let her have it. Because, and if she wants to get offended by that, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you will never campaign on this. Maybe you'll never ever mention this in a campaign, and I'm the crazy one for thinking that you might use this to win your next election. If I'm totally off base about that, okay, I'm sorry. If I'm wrong in thinking that you might actually campaign on election integrity, I don't mean to offend you by suggesting that you'll be campaigning on this stuff. Okay. That's fine if you want the credit, if you're going to campaign. And if you're going to keep doing stuff like this, heck yes, this is excellent stuff. This is really, really good. I'd like to give you more so that you can be as sharp as possible. Because we need to get this done ASAP. Before the primaries, okay? Before the primaries, we need to see if we can get this advisory code amended. Since you're all buddy-buddy with the Secretary of State, right? Now that we have one, again, let me restate, it is not that nobody ever thought. It's that she says for the last 5 years. How many of those years did we not have a Secretary of State? Jennifer, honest question. So 5 years. So we're 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020. How many of those years do we not have a Secretary of State? Honestly. Anyways, good work, Jennifer. You want the credit? I applaud you. This is very good. This is very good. If she will continue down this route, right, and she will listen to the poll watchers, she will listen to people like Dr. Presley, who will give her exactly what she needs to take to the Secretary of State, then Jennifer is well positioned to be the one and to take back Dallas County elections. I've been saying that Dallas County they can take it back. They can take it back with minimal effort. So, and this is minimal effort, but it's already getting there. It's getting there a little bit more. A little bit more. Accept our information, okay, from Tarrant County, especially since you now have Hyder running your elections. I I can tell you most of what he's going to say. Not with every situation. Y'all do have a different voting system than we do in Tarrant County. We have Hart. Y'all have ES&S in Tarrant and Dallas. So it's a little bit different. But I believe I understand some of his philosophy in election administration. I believe I understand some of it. All right, and I can help you argue again. Let me tell you, I'm not going to purport to understand his entire life philosophy, but I know a hell of a lot more than you guys do. I've been watching this guy since 2021. I know a hell of a lot more than y'all do. I'm trying to give it to the Dallas County GOP. They're very resistant, and it's very frustrating. And today I attempted to explain to Wes Bowen why I thought this was a missed opportunity, and I'd like to set a meeting so that I can give you guys this info so that the next time y'all go down there, y'all can tell her exactly what you want to fix. And it's just, it's just all of a sudden, it's like, oh, that's very offensive to suggest. And he goes, what did he say? Wes Bowen, he says, well, I was like, Wes, why would you act like this when basically when I contacted you to do the poll watchers training last summer, y'all had no idea what was going on. Y'all didn't know what to do, didn't know what to train your poll watchers to do. The SOS had just released their poll watcher training to get out ahead of the one that Dr. Presley was doing. Okay? To stop people like Dr. Presley and me telling people what to actually track, how to actually track these records and these ballots and these totals. Okay? They want to tell you, you're not an investigator. It literally says that. It literally says, you're not an auditor in the Secretary of State training. It says that to the poll watchers. So if that's the kind of training y'all are giving people, okay. But Wes, had the audacity to tell me, well, you should come to one of our trainings. We've been doing poll watcher trainings. And I was like, well, Wes, you come to my meetings. If I call a meeting, you come to it. You're cordial with me. Why would you not invite me to your poll watcher training? And is it similar to the one that I gave to you? The packet that I literally gave to you that was a poll watcher training, second of its kind in Texas, other than the one behind Dr. Presley's. Dr. Presley was the first one that I'm aware of. Beverly Harris has also been doing this for a really long time. I don't know if she had a poll watchers training, but she has a hell of a lot of info too. You need to be reaching out to people who have been doing stuff because you'll learn a hell of a lot like I have. Okay. Dr. Presley had a poll watchers training, and then I had one. And then Alan Vera had one. And now Dallas County has one. But he's never invited me to any of their trainings. I didn't know about any of them. Well, I was like, well, you wouldn't invite me because what he's done, what they're doing, is trying to make it look like they're election integrity fighters. And you know what? Fake it till you make it. I think that clearly, like, they're positioning themselves to actually get something done. Even though it's taken years and they didn't seem to take it seriously for a long time. Even now, they're still, just covering the stuff that's easy. I don't think it's as easy to go and tell the Secretary of State, I want you to change these things right now. I think that's a much more awkward conversation. That's a much more tense conversation. That's not going to be as social. Okay? And I'm getting calls like mad. So I'm going to take some of these calls, but I just wanted to review this with you guys and let y'all know about this, okay? And this is good work. Good work, Jennifer. It could be a little bit stronger, all right? So anyone in the executive committee, y'all want to reach out to me. I'm going to give you everything, and y'all can give it to Jennifer. I think it may be more well received that way. Okay. All right, y'all have a good night. Wait, day, what time is it? Where am I? Bye. Thank you, guys.